A New Hope, Nier Chapter 85. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel and patreon.com/Azazyel to read all of Azazyel's stories. Silently I awaited White's reply, as I knew that her response would set the tone with the vast majority of YoRHa, though even if it was shaken. I was confident 2B and 6E as executioner models would understand and agree with my rhetoric even if they wouldn't like it. Fine, I will do it, she said weakly, but I squeezed her hands, making her look up at me as I shook my head. White. Evil is within humanity. We are in no way perfect. As White went to speak, I cut her off as I continued. Killing one traitor or evil disappointment to humanity is nothing, as there will always be another. I need to know if you have the strength to set aside your feelings and even programming to help me keep humanity on the right track. I spoke, and I couldn't help but realize I was all but making my own Sisters of Battle as I cosplayed the Emperor of Mankind. Because although the scouts were combat capable, all the actual combat models were in female forms. I understand, Jake. Just this will take time for me and the others to wrap our heads around. But to prove our devotion, I will personally deal with Jacques Schnee. White spoke and then sighed, as she had in the time we were speaking, and I laid out my ultimatum. She had already found out Jacques Schnee, Weiss's father, was flying home with an autopiloted bullhead going between Atlas and the city of Mantle that was below the flying city. Come with me, Jake. There is another monitor to the side where the rest cannot see. White spoke as she stood up. Go ahead and clap so they can hear again and resume their peak work efficiency. White reminded me, and as I did so I held onto a 2's hand, as she had more than proven herself in telling YoRHa to get fucked basically. YoRHa operatives, give me a moment before sending data to me. Jake has given me a task that requires a delicate touch, as it were, she said, and more than a couple of operator androids gave their fellow blonde-haired leader a dirty look as they to a most incorrect idea of what White was alluding to. White then led me A2, 2B, and 6E towards a back room of the workroom, and as we saw another smaller holographic monitor lit up with a scene of a bullhead flying next to a city and towards a flying city far above it. I am going to overload its engines and force it to explode in midair. Are you sure you want to do this? Are you willing to consign a fellow human and even your girlfriend's father to death? White asked as 2B and E6 grasp on my arm turned steel tight, forcing my aura to shield my arm from their reflexing hydraulic press of an hand. Yes. I, Jake Barris, leader and owner of YoRHa, consign all traitors and detractors to humanity to death in the most expedient method possible. Now do it, White, I said coldly as I stared at the hologram with a loud buzz and the feed going blurry temporarily. I saw from the bullhead's perspective it going straight down towards the ground as flames crept into the cockpit from all the electronics and the engines shorting and exploding instantly at White's command over Remnant's primitive electronics. I looked at 2B and E6 and very clearly told them the crimes the man had committed, as well as going to be a controlling ass who would want to drag Weiss across the world when he learned that I had knocked her up, not out of some form of care for her, but that he couldn't sell her off to some fat corporate slob in Atlas to help the Schnee company. We did anything and everything for the mission. I understand your actions, I don't like them, but I understand and accept them, Jake, and so would 9S even if she wouldn't like it either. 2B softly spoke, nodding to me as she watched the bullhead collide with the ground, and thus Jacques Schnee died the ignoble death of a bullhead systems failing as it tried to force more than 100 times the required burn dust fuel into the systems only to violently explode. Same, E6 muttered before she sighed and gave me another hug before looking up at me. Do you feel satisfaction or happiness from this, Jake? She asked me, and I shook my head. No. I didn't care for the man, nor will I care for other people I may consign to death, but I find and found no joy in this, E6, and this goes to you as well, White. I love you. I truly love you and my androids to death, but some humans just need to die for a world to actually prosper. I spoke as I patted E6 on her head one final time before walking over to White. I softly kissed White on her lips as she held on to the front of my beacon uniform before she tapped my chest, letting me know to give her some space. As we split apart, her eyes gently opened up and I saw a firmness in her eyes as she nodded. Fine, Jake. I will help you do what needs to be done, but it must be for the greater good of all humanity, or at least in service to your direct protection. White continued, and I realized she was all but rewriting her core directives under the weight of the situation, so I just nodded and gave her another hug. All right. I am going back, just tell me when you guys get ready to launch the space station. I spoke as I led 2B, A2, and E6 away, as I wanted some snuggles and possibly show my appreciation for them sticking with me.